GJ 436 Bravo, a gas dwarf pre-ocean world in stellar metamorphosis. The abstract is as follows. It is explained that GJ 436 Bravo is a gas dwarf pre-ocean world according to the measurement of its radius. Just the radius alone, not temperature, not mass. But of course those follow along, being it's really small anyways. A simple diagram or simple illustration was offered by an establishment physicist that shows this, and an explanation for its stages of evolution is provided. This object right here, GJ 436 Bravo, you can see there it has a small rocky core and thick water oceans and a thin outer envelope of hydrogen and helium gas. That, according to this diagram, is essentially a Neptune-sized object, and it, according to this, is a gas dwarf. It's a pre-water world, a pre-ocean world. There's probably a lot of incredibly interesting biological things going on in there, and not only that, but the thin outer envelope of hydrogen helium gas, the establishment scientists, they don't know how that formed. Clearly it didn't form as is, but that's the mentality of a lot of the astronomers. They look at all the objects in a single system. So say you have a red dwarf and you have all these objects orbiting it. They all formed at the same time, regardless if they all look different. They all have different levels of differentiation. They all have different elemental compositions and the amount of the elements available. Yet astronomers force all those objects to be exactly the same age as they formed in a system, and they treat the solar system the same way. They say the sun is the same age as the Earth, is the same age as Venus, is the same age as Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, Pluto. It's all the same age. There's no difference in age. They all formed as remains of the sun's formation. But clearly that's very outdated, especially in light of the exoplanets that have been found, astrons. That's what we're calling them because star and planets are the same thing. They fit right near where Neptune is, right on a simple diagram. They're right there. Look, and the red dwarf that's the host, the GJ 436, it's up here, and that object is maybe about 230 million years old. And GJ 436 Bravo, the companion object, that's at least 2 billion. So clearly they didn't form in the same area or at the same time. It was adopted by the red dwarf. And the other evidence for this object having been adopted by the red dwarf is the fact that it has an orbital eccentricity of 0.15, meaning it's not circular. It's more egg-shaped, as well as that the star's axis of rotation is perpendicular to the object that the 436 Bravo is orbiting it. So it orbits perpendicularly to the axis of rotation. And that is not explained by any of their accepted models. In fact, it actually falsifies the protoplanetary disk, because inside of that model, inside the nebula hypothesis protoplanetary disk model, they have to have all these objects not only in a circular orbit around the host, but they have to be near the same orbital axis or the same rotational axis as its host, or near the same. So it just throws everything right out the window, this object does. But instead of realizing that they're two completely separate objects, they're probably going to try to explain it away as being it migrated and then it switched its orbits, and then they're just going to make up a bunch of stuff, but they have no explanation for it. And we can see that. Just go to GJ 436 Bravo Wikipedia page. I'll link it to the bottom. You'll see that there's no formation explanation for it. Because they believe that just a bunch of gas and rocks and pebbles clumped together to make this object. But clearly that's not how it actually works. what happens is the star is born really hot, really bright, and it cools, and it collapses, and it shrinks, and it differentiates the material, and the phases of the matter change as well. The temperature changes to where the temperature is a certain temperature, and then it's not really all that important once it reaches to the stage to where it no longer radiates from its own light. And that's basically the stage where it's no longer radiating its own light. And if you look at this again, the rocky core, it's a lot smaller than that as well. He doesn't include the iron nickel portion of it, which is in the center, which is predicted by this theory. But yeah, it's a pre-water world, and it's like right there, and it's pretty wild how in 2007 this Dr. Jason Wright made a good picture of it. I think it's really cool how he made a picture of it, and it fits right into this theory. Yeah, I guess that really sums it up. I end this paper with I'll go ahead and read this out. GJ 436 Bravo will become an ocean world and then an Earth. We should respect the fact that Earth, our home world, did not form as is. It's an object, it's highly evolved, billions of years old, has gone through many earlier stages of evolution before it got to its certain point to how it is right now. It's not a as-is construct. It was at one point probably orbiting a red dwarf long before humans even existed. So it has orbital history well beyond human history. I mean, given we've discovered fossils of Homo sapiens like 300,000 years old, or what's the new one, 500,000? But that doesn't even pale in comparison to the orbital history of the Earth, which is billions of years old. All of human history is nothing but a blink in the eye of the Earth's history. So to imagine that it was orbiting another star completely in the past and was a star itself, it doesn't take really a stretch of the imagination if you think about it. And then as I have here written, this should give the reader pause. It means that when we look out at the night sky, we are looking at hot, young Earths, many billions of years younger than our home world. There are trillions of them. And with this theory, we can even count the exoplanets inside of other galaxies entirely, because now we know what stars are. They're young, hot Earths, very earlier in their formation. So we can count probably trillions of them if we want to. But that's up to astronomers if they want to step into the 21st century and leave the past where it belongs in the past. Well, that's up to them. All right, y'all. Later.